Well, thank you once again for watching another episode of Meet a Musician from the Kansas City Symphony. In my role as personnel manager, one of my most exciting aspects is getting to meet new musicians when they join us. Having been here nearly 13 seasons, I've been fortunate enough to be able to welcome more than half of our current musicians to the ensemble in this way. But like all families, though, there are those long established members. And in this next episode, I chose to speak with a musician whose music making in Kansas City even predates the Kansas City Symphony. There are currently only 3 musicians on our roster who were members the first season of the Kansas City Symphony, and their long-lasting artistry and passion is unrivaled. Marvin Grunbaum began in the symphony's first season in 1982. Susan Goldenberg, 2 years prior to that, in 1980, with the Kansas City Philharmonic. But today's guest takes the cake of current Kansas City Symphony musicians as he joined the Philharmonic in the fall of 1978 and has remained ever since. So join me as we take a few minutes today to meet Alex Shum.
Hi there. I play violin in the orchestra, and I'm very thankful I stayed in Kansas City.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining me on this. You're a humble person, but I know you recognize that you're one of these last remaining members of the original Kansas City Symphony. We'll talk about that and some other things, but first, would you tell us a little bit about your pre-Kansas City days? Where'd you grow up? Were you a professional musician anywhere else before you joined in Kansas City?
I grew up in the city of Hong Kong, which was a British colony at the time. Now it's China now. I did play in the Hong Kong Philharmonic when I was in high school, but it wasn't a professional orchestra then. It became professional only 2 years after I left. But a professional experience, I have a funny memory. During that time, Bolshoi Ballet came to Hong Kong to perform and brought a core pit orchestra with them. And they probably wanted to boost their small orchestra. So somehow I was asked to join the first violins. So, and there was only one rehearsal. At the rehearsal, I sat at the back, and you know how ballet is. Now I know, sometimes the last chord, you have to wait, like in a Nutcracker and a Chinese dancer, you don't come in on time in the last chord. Of course, I didn't know. Being enthusiastic, I was the one that go, boom, come in the last chord when they wanted to hold back. And I still remember the conductor. He didn't say a word. He just looked at me. He held the stick up, and he goes like this. Watch my stick. I still remember in the beginning, the first rehearsal. I had never played in an orchestra before. My school had a string orchestra, but for symphony orchestra, not. And the rehearsal was in English. And I sat there, I was just in awe of all the sound. I didn't know the instruments. I began to learn, the names of the instruments: oboe, clarinet, bassoon, French horn, English horn, timpani. I was just fascinated by the sound.
So at the time, what was your original draw to coming to Kansas City? What brought you here from Hong Kong?
Well, I came to this country for college. And after graduate school, I needed a job. It's very simple. I needed a job, and Kansas City gave me a job. That was the draw.
Did you have to audition at all, or no?
I did. I auditioned in New York City, actually. They must have advertised that they were holding auditions, actually, in New York City. I was graduating, and I needed a job. And to catch the audition, I had to skip graduation ceremony, which I was happy to do. So, and then that summer, I was going to play at the Tanglewood anyway. So I went out east, and I had an uncle in New York City I could stay with. So I was just, go there and wait till Tanglewood starts. So, and then I went to the audition. And it was an apartment across from Carnegie Hall, I remember. And there was the conductor and the concertmaster, Maurice Paris and Mark Gottlieb. and I played the audition just like nowadays audition, but not behind the screen. I played the same kind of excerpts, concertos, whatnot. And then after I played, the conductor asked me, Maurice asked me, "Are you making the rounds or are you ready to sign?" I said, "I need a job. I'm ready to sign."
Well, outside the symphony, Alex, I know you have maintained a very active gig life for many years with your quartet, with the Brookside Quartet, and with various contracting gigs. What are some of the most memorable programs you've been a part of as a gigger or a contractor here in town?
I love weddings, so every wedding is memorable to me. But anyway, for strange experience, in the early days of the quartet, we played one gig. We got called to play in Memorial Hall in Kansas City, Kansas, I think, as the opening act for the rock group Meatloaf. That was one of the strangest experience. We don't know what to play, and they said we'll have books for you. So we just went on stage and they had to set up with books of their music. It was not difficult to read, but we just read it down, and the crowd was just screaming, and nobody could hear anything really. But two choral groups have stuck with me for many years, so I'm thankful for them. Music of Soccer with Tim McDonough and Bill Baker's Choral Foundation with Bill Baker.
With our live symphony performances kind of having stopped, I'm sure gig opportunities have dried up as well here recently. How have you been staying busy, Alex?
Our schedule had been kind of relentless, always new repertoire to learn. So I actually enjoyed the pause. But as you can see, I'm sitting in our kitchen. I have start to cook a lot and really loving it. I look forward to making supper every evening. About 5 o'clock, I start moving around the kitchen, prepping things and, experimenting things and watching videos how people cook.
You and your wife have 5 kids, right?
5 children, yeah.
Has music been a part of their lives at all?
No one is a professional musician, but I think they all love music. My first one, the oldest one, that was just kind of when Suzuki Method was coming into being, and so we started her on Suzuki. But being a violinist myself, I was too enthusiastic, too heavy-handed, and so after a little while, it just too much tension. It didn't work, and my wife told me to line up. So, but she still loves music, and all the rest of them took piano afterwards. So they're not in music, but they, I like them to experiment with different things and to expose to different things and see what pulls them.
I can't fathom to put a number on the different works you've had to practice and prepare for in your life. You mentioned just a minute ago how rigorous our schedule is. However, there's one nice thing about orchestral music is that the list of works you haven't had to prepare is equally long or longer. What are some of the pieces you'd still like the chance to play but haven't yet?
We just did Bruckner 7th, but I'd love to do more Bruckner. I haven't done much Bruckner at all, as an orchestral musician. I love to experience Bruckner more. And some of the Mahlers I haven't done. So I would say Mahler and Bruckner. Yeah, those are very individual composers and write for the orchestra in their own individual way and very difficult.
You were here through a lot of different music director changes, different struggles of the orchestra, and different venues. Can you describe your thoughts from when this orchestra finally got a home at Hillsburg Hall?
Wow, that was a total game changer. I mean, I couldn't have imagined it, that we would end up with a hall like that. That's just thanks to Julia, Irene Kaufman. Raises all the arts, it benefits all the arts. And of course, the orchestra too, with everybody, with Michael, with management, with the board, with our supportive audience, really helped the orchestra rise up to befit the hall that it is, world-class hall. So really, this is the best days since the hall opened. It makes me so thankful that I stayed. There were early days, in the beginning, downtown was rather gloomy. Never imagined it would come back like this. And I'm so glad I stayed, so glad.
Well, Alex, you mentioned earlier that you're originally from Hong Kong, a very vibrant, bustling city. But for as long as I've been here and known you, there's been a strong connection between you and Symphony in the Flint Hills, which has a mission to heighten appreciation about land that is complete opposite of Hong Kong, really. What is it about that organization and that area of Kansas that speaks to you?
You know, you are right. And that contrast, you know, growing up in Hong Kong, I only see buildings. We live in apartments all my life, and all my friends, all my relatives live in buildings. When I first came to this country, even seeing just individual houses, you know, with roofs and door and window and a chimney, it's like a fairy tale coming to life. And then you go out to the Flint Hills, as far as the eyes could see, it's just grassland. It's just the horizon is endless. You just breathe so much deeper and slower and feel that you're alive, really, and in tune with the earth. It's just a great feeling. Just imagining it, I could breathe deeper. It's a great feeling. And it was just by chance that I was involved with it from the beginning. I began to help them with to promote the event and their parties and playing a little music. And did that for, and I think, first 11 years. Yeah, I go to visit little towns where they throw the parties, and I would plan little programs, you know, with different players, sometimes by myself. It was great fun.
If you had the chance to perform with one artist who's passed away one more time, who do you think you'd choose and why?
I want to say, I want to choose two people. How about two violinists? One that I've played with, first one, is Henrik Schering, violinist. I've played, I think, Beethoven and Brahms violin concertos with. You know, some of his fans have put up a Facebook page for him. They call him Henrik Schering, violin god. When he plays, he just plants himself standing up and so still. And I still remember the picture of him, you know, the notes come out so pure and pristine and effortless. Wow. That's why I call violin god, or you can play like an angel. Now, another violinist that I have actually never played with, but I have seen him in Das Master class, seen him in concert and recital, and he happened to be 100 years old if he had lived to today. And he happened to be the father of our conductor. Now, his playing is a different style, but he plays with brimming conviction. And his phrasing is so clear. I used to listen to his recordings, when I study or work, because his phrasing is absolutely clear. The architecture of the piece, you can feel, you can learn from him. And I think Michael has those qualities too, you know, in his conducting. So I would love to have a chance to work with him. And then, you know, especially now when he is 100 years old with Michael conducting, wow.
Well, lastly, I've just got one last question for you, and I'm wrapping up each of these interviews with the same question, it seems like. Unlike Silvio, who I spoke with in my last interview, you've had some time to try the multiple Kansas City barbecue restaurants here in town. Do you have one that's a favorite?
If I have to pick one, I'd say Q39. I think they're very close. Q39, I like also Jack Stack and Joe's, but pick one, Q39.
I really appreciate you doing this, and I think the audience.
Well, thank you. I enjoy talking. Yeah.
I think I get a lot of questions from our audience about our musicians, and it's nice to put the face with the answers right away. So thanks so much.
Thank you.